And uh, I'm sitting over here and I'm just thinking about how I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking about how the energy in front of the camera changes when I press record. And it's like off camera, I'll be seeing all these wonderful things, right? Like having a revelation of all these like hidden observations of the universe. And then it's like as soon as I want to document the conversations I be having with myself, it's like I feel performative, like I have to do things in a certain way to fit the camera or to be like to sound trained for the media. And initially, before I made this video, I was like in my head, right? I just woke up, I just got out of bed, and I'm like thinking of all these many things. Like, I'm asking myself this question about what truly matters in the universe. We grow up in societies that try to constrain us and define us with all these different norms and societal pressures and like systems that are created by us as humanity. And it made me realize like how nothing really matters in the universe, right? I always like to look at this one idea that's always in the prefrontal lobe of my brain, right? About how we've all been programmed to fuss and like get a hard time or stress about things that don't actually matter. Things that as people we've 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 just been trained to accept and to work with. And one of those things that I like to look at so it's like one of those things that as humans we've been programmed to think about or to stress about is like I was thinking about Tabale initiation. Tabale, when we just zoom into a small perimeter, when we just focus on a fixed space, which is south of Africa, and then into south of Africa, we zoom more into the southern region. We get into a country, and maybe let me not even call it a country. Let me just say, on God's green earth, we take a portion of land per square kilometers or just a fixed portion of God's land that we as humanity have given a name, or a name we have all agreed on to accept as the identity of a soil. Because land is soil. So once we name the accumulation of that soil, we call it a country. And so when we zoom into that space of Lesotho and even other countries, but I'm gonna specifically just like focus on Lesotho. When you zoom into that, you come to realize there's a package of unique and specific societal norms and traditions and beliefs and perspectives that come with residing there, and not only just residing there, being native from that land. One of those societal systems is an idea that's called lebollo. We're going to hyperscale this matter a bit. And this is like me rejecting an advice I was given to make my world small. Because I realized the way my brain works is by hyperscaling everything, probably even exaggerating ideas. That's how I break it down. By magnifying it first, I'm able to deconstruct it easier than when I look at it at a smaller scale. So we look at this idea of lebollo, and it's amazing how a small group of people like Basotho are able to fuss over that idea so much, and it's such a at a hyper scale, it is such a useless idea, created and instigated by a minority of people, a minority of entities or beings called Basotho. So much so that at my 21 years of age, growing up ka Lesotho and not being initiated as a male, it gives another minority, a smaller portion again of Basotho. This time we're not at a hyperscale, we are at a minority. It gives a small portion of people so much stress and them feeling like this is such a betrayal, or this is so bizarre, or like anyhow they might think of the situation. But at the end of the day, there's a huge idea of fussing over that, me not being initiated. And then I like to look at it at a quantum level, because I know some other entities or beings that don't matter at a hyperscale of the galaxy constellation, Milky Way, and just at a quantum level, they do not matter, because the smallest bit of knowledge that they have, they feel like they have achieved a level of significance on the world scale, or on the world map, or on the field of knowledge and understanding, so that in turn it makes them feel like they are the most brilliant people ever. They'll come into my space, try and dissect the verbiage I've delivered, and talk about how all these societal norms are necessary for individual identity that will expand into societal identity, and it keeps on going, right? And then I like to look at it like those people at an upscale don't really matter. And to me also, they don't even matter. So I'm not going to fuss over that idea for now. But back to what I was saying, talk about the idea initiation, like it's one of those unnecessary things that like don't really matter when you look at it with a different perspective and try to strip away the idea of it is solely for identity. You come to realize that who came up with the idea that such a system can be attached to our identity as individuals? Because, like it or not, these ideas, these norms, these systems, in turn, create a prison system around free thinking, freedom as a whole, and it constrains a level of expressism or expression. Because I'll make the same video talking about how initiation is so useless, and some people will be like trying to fight me over that idea, call me names, judge what I've said, and point fingers. At an upscale, that doesn't matter. The knowledge you have, I feel like there's a level of freedom or liberation that comes with realizing that none of this thing that we call life, if not 5% of it, 2% matters. Everything else doesn't matter. And once I realized that idea, it changed the way I look at things. I think just now, before waking up and having this conversation, I had a pre-conversation again with myself where I was like, you look at all these things that we're so enthusiastic about as humanity and how much they do not matter. You look at music, right? You look at artists that make music, and it's like none of this matters, in a sense of like you make a comparison between one artist on SoundCloud with 5 followers and barely any plays on his music. Then you look at someone like Kanye West, Michael Jackson, Prince. You look at all these people that we as a society have decided and stuck with the idea that these are great people. What a limited perspective of life we have. But we can only make such a conclusion because of the scale that we're in. We're at a hyper scale in the whole galaxy. We've never seen other entities besides the ones that look like us. And so the microscope that we use to determine who's great and who's not is going to be limited to the entities we've seen. All right? And back to the idea I was trying to express is like, the idea of who is great and who is not great came from a societal agreement that because of how this particular individual has come across in our minds, without saying it through verbiage, we're just going to agree mentally that this person is great and this person is not great yet, and that person is just a bum. He's just a loser. You feel me? So that's like with artists. Like, to me, now that I've accumulated this knowledge, is like nobody matters to me anymore. To me, Kanye West, Prince, Michael Jackson, these are all ordinary people. Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, all these people that the world has decided to put up on a pedestal is like these are ordinary beings. These are normal corporations, living corpses that just wander around the same space as we are. They're just an accumulation of cells, just like me. And I have to look at these people differently because they're doing something that everybody can do, and they're just doing it with a different style to it. So the whole idea of nothing matters is really a big thing to me. And to like close this video, I'll make another stupid example that has happened to my life that has made me realize something. I might not be able to express exactly what's everything that's going on in my head, and this is probably the last video I'll make having a conversation like this, because it's not so easy to have a conversation like this with myself and document it, right? But lastly, to conclude this video, I made a video a particular time on TikTok, and one brother, one individual, one accumulation of atoms expressed verbiage about how my atoms or cells are accumulated in terms of an extension of my nervous system, which is my hair. Just like how my hair is not combed out and it's nappy, somebody expressed verbiage about how they will not like my video solely because my hair is not well done, or my hair is not restructured in a particular design that is appealing to that single individual. And in my head now, as I think of it, as wise and as old as I have gotten, it's like these are some of the other things that really do not matter. And yeah, I don't even know how to close this except I'm cooking, so I have to attend to the food.